What can be broken is only that which has form. Your body, your beliefs, your emotions, even your mind. But awareness is not a form. It is not a thing. It is not an object you can touch or hold. It is the background, the invisible presence in which everything else appears. Thoughts come and go. Moods rise and fall. The body ages and changes, but awareness simply remains, unchanging, untouched, unshaken. That which is truly you cannot be broken, because it was never constructed in the first place. We mistake our identity for our personality, for the structure of our likes and dislikes, our past and our plans. But these are temporary arrangements. They are furniture in the room, not the room itself. And when the furniture is broken, we cry as if the whole house has collapsed. But the house, your awareness, remains. It has always remained, it is here before any story began, and it will still be here when the story ends. What breaks is the furniture, the space, the presence, it doesn't crack. Your awareness is like the sky. Clouds may cover it, storms may disturb it. Yet the sky itself remains stainless. It doesn't cling to the storm, it doesn't resist the sun. It allows everything and holds on to nothing. This is your essential nature, not the temporary noise, but the vast silence behind it. Not the wave, but the ocean. Awareness is not something you create. It is what you are before anything is created. It doesn't belong to the body or the brain. It is the light in which the body and brain are perceived. The illusion of brokenness comes when you identify with the surface, the thought that failed, the feeling that hurt, the dream that collapsed. But if you step back just a little, you'll see that something within you has witnessed it all without ever being touched. That witnessing presence, that awareness was never harmed. Even in your darkest moment, there was something within you quietly watching, untouched by the chaos. That is your real strength. That is the unbreakable core. If you recognize this even once, truly see it, you will never again believe you are broken. You may feel pain, but you will know you are not the pain. You may face loss, but you will see you are not the lost. This shift doesn't require effort, it only requires seeing. Like the sun hidden behind clouds, your awareness doesn't disappear, it is simply veiled. Remove the clouds of identification and you will realize you were never shattered, only shadow. We often think of healing as a process of fixing something broken, patching up the wounds of the past, or collecting missing pieces of ourselves. But what if you are not a puzzle scattered across the years? What if you were never broken to begin with? Healing in its truest form is not about becoming something new. It is about recognizing what has always been present but overlooked. It is not a construction, it is a revelation. You are not incomplete, you are just unaware of your completeness. The reason so many remain trapped in endless cycles of self-help is because they start from a false assumption that they are flawed, lacking or damaged. From that belief, every step becomes an effort to improve, to fix, to become a better. But the one who is striving to heal is often the very illusion that needs to dissolve. Your wholeness does not need to be created, it needs to be seen. Just as the sky is never harmed by the clouds, your being has never been touched by the stories, traumas and identities that have passed through you. When you sit quietly and look beyond the surface, beyond the thoughts, beyond the emotions, you may begin to sense a silence, a stillness that has always been there. That stillness is not something you gained through healing. It was never absent. It was only drowned out by the noise of who you thought you were. Healing happens not when you add something new to yourself, but when you stop believing in what you are not. In that simple clarity, the weight drops, the ache softens, the need to become dissolves. But true healing is not about escaping pain, but recognizing that even pain arises within something untouched. That something is you. When you realize this, you stop trying to fix the waves and instead remember you are the ocean. You stop trying to silence the mind and instead rest as the space in which the mind appears. In that remembrance there is peace, not because the outer conditions are perfect, but because the inner confusion has ended. The illusion of lack fades and the presence of wholeness is revealed. No technique, philosophy or spiritual path can give you what you already are. They can only help you remove what hides it. Your wholeness doesn't need repair, it needs recognition. The truth of who you are is not waiting at the end of a long journey. It is quietly glowing at the center of your being right now, untouched by time, untouched by suffering, untouched by belief. Healing is not a destination, it is a return to what never left. The true source of human suffering is not the events that happen to us, but the mistaken identity we carry within us. You do not suffer because of who you are, you suffer because you believe you are something you are not. You have identified with your name, your story, your body, your beliefs, your memories, but these are not you. They are garments you've worn, masks you've assumed, roles you've played. And the more deeply you believe in these identities, the more you drift away from your original nature, the unchanging presence behind all experience. When you say, I am hurt, what you really mean is, something I am attached to has been disturbed. But you fused yourself so tightly with the hurt that you cannot see the distance between the experience and the experiencer. The pain becomes your identity. The failure becomes your label. The anxiety becomes your name. And yet, in every moment, there is something in you watching it all, untouched, unmoved, unstained. That watcher is your real self, and it has never been diminished by anything that's happened in your life. The body can be injured, the mind can be confused, the emotions can be volatile, but none of these define who you are. They are expressions, not essence. Misidentification begins the moment you say, I am this body, or I am this thought, or I am this role I play in society. But all of these change, and what changes cannot be the real you. The moment you start confusing the wave with the ocean, suffering begins. The moment you remember that the wave is just a dance of the ocean, peace returns. Of the ocean, peace returns. You have become entangled in your own creation. The thoughts that were meant to serve you have become your prison. The emotions that were meant to color life have become chains. This is not because life is cruel. It is because you have forgotten to ask the most fundamental question. Who am I? Really? Without this inquiry, you will continue to fix problems that are not problems at all, trying to rearrange the furniture of your illusion while the truth of who you are waits silently beneath it all. Misidentification is like a dream. In the dream, everything feels real. You laugh, you cry, you fear, you celebrate, but the moment you wake up, you realize none of it ever touched you. Similarly, the moment you awaken from the identities you assumed, the grip of suffering begins to loosen. The real problem is not the content of your life. It is the context from which you live it. And when the context shifts from identification to awareness, life no longer feels heavy. It becomes light, playful, and profoundly free. Pain is not your enemy. It is not a cruel punishment handed down by life. Pain is simply a messenger, a signal from within that something needs your attention. Just as a physical wound hurts so that you do not ignore it, emotional and spiritual pain arises not to break you, but to awaken you. It's life's way of tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, look here, something is ready to be seen. You may have tried to avoid it, distract yourself from it, or even silence it, but pain only grows louder when it is dismissed, because its purpose is not to harm, it is to guide. Most human beings spend their lives trying to escape discomfort. They run from heartbreak, deny their fears, numb their anxieties. But in this fleeing, they miss the doorway that pain opens. Pain is like a knock on the temple door. If you open it, you may cry, you may tremble, but you will also enter into the sanctum of your own being. Only through such raw moments do the deeper layers of your consciousness begin to stir. When you face your pain, instead of running from it, you are no longer a victim, you are a seeker. It is not the presence of pain that makes life difficult, it is the refusal to understand it. When you reject pain, it becomes suffering. But when you welcome it, it becomes insight. Every ache carries a question. What are you not looking at? What have you forgotten? If you listen closely, pain reveals where you are still entangled in illusion, where you are holding on to things that no longer serve your growth. It doesn't arrive to destroy your peace, it arrives because your peace has been built on unstable ground, unstable ground. Pain often comes when your identity is cracking, when the mask you worn for too long is no longer fitting. In that breaking, your false walls collapse, and though it feels like a loss, it is truly a release. It is painful only because you are attached to what limited you. Just as the snake must shed its skin, you must release the version of yourself that was never truly you. The pain of that process is not punishment, it is purification. What hurts is not the truth. What hurts is the resistance to it. There is a sacredness to pain that modern life has forgotten. We treat it as an error, a failure, an inconvenience. But the mystic sees it as a passage, a sacred rite. When you stop labeling pain as bad and start treating it as a guide, you begin to walk the path of awareness. You begin to see that every tear has value, every wound holds wisdom, and every discomfort is a threshold to a deeper knowing. Most people walk through life with the weight of their past and the burden of their perceived flaws, believing something fundamental within them is broken. But brokenness implies something is beyond repair, something that has lost its original integrity. This is not your reality. What you experience as brokenness is only a sleep of your deeper dimensions, a kind of dormancy where the light of your awareness has yet to shine. You are not damaged. You are simply unaware of the vast reservoir of intelligence, grace and power that rests quietly within you. Imagine a seed lying in the soil. To the unknowing eye, it seems lifeless. But within it lies an entire tree waiting, not broken, but unawakened. Unawakened. If the seed is never placed in the right environment, it may never sprout. But this doesn't mean the seed is flawed. Similarly, your inner possibilities remain hidden, not because something is wrong with you, but because you haven't yet accessed the right conditions for your flowering. Dormancy is not failure, it is potential in waiting. Many confuse the symptoms of this inner sleep, sadness, insecurity, aimlessness, as proof that they are somehow broken. But these emotions are not the problem, they are signals, a ringing bell that something deeper is being ignored. Your essence doesn't cry out because it is weak. It cries out because it is strong and wants to be seen. The pain you carry is the resistance of something infinite trying to move through something confined. You are not lacking, you are overflowing but unaware of it. When people say, "I feel empty," they're not really empty. They are full of silence, full of space, full of potential energy that hasn't been activated. But because we've been trained to look only at action, noise and external achievement, we mistake stillness for hollowness, You are not an empty shell, you are a vessel waiting to be filled with your own realization. Your dormancy is not a void, it is a sacred pause, a divine silence that comes before the music begins. In every human being, there is a point where life can explode into magnificence. That point is not reached by fixing what is broken, but by dissolving what is false. Your dormancy is like a coiled spring, compressed but full of energy. The moment you stop identifying with what you are not, the spring uncoils. Life does not need you to be perfect. It only needs you to wake up. The truth is not far from you, it is curled up inside you, silent but potent, dormant but unbroken. Every day, countless thoughts pass through your mind, some uplifting, some disturbing, some irrelevant and many repetitive. Emotions rise like tides, joy, anger, fear, love, guilt, and each one tries to convince you that it is you. But you are not these fleeting movements. You are the space in which they occur. You are the one who notices the thought, not the thought itself. You are the presence that watches emotion arise and fade, not the emotion. The mind may be noisy, the heart may be turbulent, but you are the awareness silently observing it all. If you were your thoughts, then when a thought disappears, you would disappear with it. But you don't. You remain. Thoughts are like birds flying through the open sky. They come from nowhere, stay for a moment and vanish. Sky is not affected by their arrival or departure. Huh? In the same way, your awareness, the real he is unaffected by what passes through it. You can experience sadness without becoming sadness. You can feel anger without being consumed by it. The moment you realize this, a profound freedom begins to emerge within you. The world teaches you to say, I am sad or I am anxious, as if the emotion is your identity. But a more truthful way to say it is, I am experiencing sadness or anxiety is passing through me. This small change in perception creates a massive shift in inner experience. It breaks the unconscious bond between who you are and what you feel. It allows you to step out of the storm even while it still rages. You are no longer tangled in the emotion, you are aware of it. And in that awareness, the emotion loses its control over you. Just as clouds do not stain the sky, thoughts and emotions do not stain your being. They are content, you are the context. Thoughts may come in colors of darkness or light. Emotions may burn or soothe. But none of them have the power to define you unless you hand them that power. And why do you hand it over? Because you have forgotten to look deeper. Because you believe what arises in you must be you. But this belief is the root of suffering. The moment you see the distance between you and your thoughts, you are no longer their captive, you become their witness. This witnessing does not require renunciation or isolation. It only requires stillness, inner stillness. In a single moment of calm observation, you can watch anger come and go without acting on it. You can feel fear rise and fall without becoming paralyzed by it. This is not repression. This is not detachment. This is clarity. The more you observe, the more you realize the waves cannot drown you when you realize you are the ocean itself. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are that which is aware of them. Confusion is not a mistake in your life. It is not the breakdown of intelligence. It is the beginning of deeper intelligence. When everything you once believed starts to crack and the ground beneath your certainty begins to tremble, know that life is not betraying you. It is preparing you. It is preparing you. Confusion is a sacred space where the old begins to fall away. But the new has not yet fully formed. It is the space between identities, where clarity is being born in the silence between thoughts. You are not lost. You are being reoriented toward something more real. Most people see confusion as failure. From childhood, we are taught to be sure, to have answers, to never hesitate. So when doubt arises, we panic. But doubt is not a flaw, it is a fire. It burns away assumptions. It dissolves false knowing. It challenges inherited beliefs. Confusion forces you to stop clinging to borrowed truths and start discovering your own. It may feel chaotic, but that chaos is creative. Like a forest floor after the fire, it is fertile with the possibility of something new and alive. In the moment of confusion, the ego trembles. Because ego depends on certainty, it survives by convincing you that you know who you are, what life is, what the world should be. When confusion arrives, it shakes that illusion. It says, are you sure? It says, are you sure? That question is not an attack. It is an invitation, It's the beginning of seeing beyond what you think you know. When you no longer trust the surface, you are forced to dive deeper. And that dive, though frightening, is the beginning of awakening. Confusion also humbles you. It reminds you that life is far more vast, more intricate, and more mysterious than the small definitions your mind tries to impose. It invites you to stop pretending to be in control, to surrender your need to have it all figured out. In that surrender, true intelligence blossoms, not the intelligence of facts and data, but the wisdom of direct perception. In confusion, you stop operating from the past and start responding to what is freshly and openly. The greatest transformations often begin with a single question. What if I'm wrong? That question is not the end of understanding. It is the doorway to deeper truth. Confusion is not darkness, it is the moment your eyes adjust to a new kind of light. A light that doesn't come from outside but from within. When the old definitions dissolve, what remains is space. And in that space, truth has a chance to reveal itself, not through thought but through silent realization.